So as I mentioned, so yesterday we have discussed about the data ingestion methods, or how many ways we can load the data into the Snowflake. That's what we have discussed, right? So through data wizard, it means Snowflake maybe we can load the data, but there is a limitation up to 250 MB. Directly you can navigate to that particular table and you can load the data. So whenever we are loading this particular data through WebUI, the file format and the stage creation and the copy command execution, everything will be taken care by the Snowflake behind the scenes. Once the data loaded into the table, that file will be removed automatically by the Snowflake. There is a process for the loading the data through WebUI or load data wizard. So now coming to the second option, we have already seen as part of the stages by placing the file through put command by using a SnowSQL command line into the internal stage. From that internal stage, we are going to execute the copy command, and the copy command is going to load the data from that internal stage to Snowflake table. That is the internal stages, right? And the third one is external stages. So here also we are running the copy command, but instead of internal stages, we are going to use the external stages. The process will be same, but here the additional step needs to be taken care. We need to create the storage integration for the external stages, right? So that is the about external stages. The last one is the continuous data ingestion. So continuous data ingestion, we have a separate session as part of the Snowpipe. So now today we'll see about the copy command. What are the options are available by using the internal stages. So we know how to run the copy command through internal stages. Already we have seen as part of the stages demo, but today we will see more detailed level about the copy command. What are the options are available through the copy command, how we are going to use those options in a real-time scenarios. Then in next upcoming sessions, we will see how to create these external stages and how to create the storage integration and on how we can load the data into the Snowflake. See, this copy command transformations or copy command options, it will be same either the external stage or internal stage. So those options will be applicable same, and real time you are going to use same way. There is no difference between kind of an external and internal stage when we are in terms of executing the copy command. But defining the stage and setting up the configuration and creating the storage integration, those are additional setups. I'm talking about the only copy command parameters. So the copy command is the most important command when we are running the or when we are loading the data into the Snowflake. So we'll see about that today. Okay, is it clear or anybody has any queries about the data ingestion or how many ways we can load the data into the Snowflake?
Recording in progress.
Please go on mute. Okay, so now I'm going to create the customer table. Now the next step would be whenever we want to load the data into this particular Snowflake table, it is a standard format. We need to create the file format and stage, either it is internal stage or external stage. There is a we need to segregate it. In both places we need to create that internal stage and external stage. But when we are talking about the external stage, so there is an additional step will come into the picture is the storage integration part. Rest all will be same. Create a replace stage name and we will give that path. And if it is external stage, the storage integration part will come into the picture. But if it is internal stage, we are not creating any storage integration because the stage is residing inside the Snowflake. So now I'm going back. I'm here. I'm using a internal stage only. So I'm going to create a file format. Then I'm going to create a stage. Till here clear or anybody has any queries about this process? Whenever you are loading the data or whenever you are going to execute the copy command. So these are the common steps will be taken care as part of either internal stage or external stage. File format and stage creation is a mandatory. Please remember that. During interviews, people will ask, can you please explain about what are the steps we need to take care while loading the data from the internal stage to Snowflake, or while loading the data from AWS S3 to Snowflake, or while loading the data from external stage to the Snowflake. So people will ask, you need to list out these steps. What are the steps you are doing? That people, like, they want to test it, your knowledge. Are you kind of only you have a theoretical knowledge, or you really worked on the Snowflake or not? They'll easily catch you. If they're asking couple of scenario oriented questions, gone. See, theoretically anybody can read it. Definitions they'll get to know, but practical knowledge is important. In order to sustain in project, practical knowledge is important. So these, whatever I'm saying or whatever I'm repeating, all these steps, these are important. If you know about these steps detail level, then which means you have a practical knowledge. So during interviews, people will ask definitely, can you please explain about what are the steps we will be taking care while loading the data from the textual stage to Snowflake. The textual stage could be either AWS S3 or Azure Blob or GCP bucket, whatever it may be. So the steps will be same. So now we need to create the file format. So what is mean by file format? What kind of data we are going to load into that particular Snowflake, we are specifying to the system by defining this file format. And what it contains, this file format, it contains the kind of instructions. Okay, this is the CSV file and you need to skip the first line, and this is the field delimiter, and this is the kind of a field was closed with this double quotes or single quotes, or this column if any null values are having, I need to convert as the actual keyword of null. So we are going to define all these instructions as part of the file format. Then what is mean by stage? So we are going to create a stage, and if it is internal named stage, we are going to give particular name and we are going to create that particular stage. Okay, so these three steps are done. So now I'm going to place the file into the particular staging area through SnowSQL. Now I can see the file is uploaded. So now I can come here and I can see named stages. We can see with at the rate, user stages at the rate, percentile, not user, table stages. Three types of stages, right? Table, user, named. Table stages at the rate, percentile. User stages at the rate, tilde symbol, and named stages at the rate, the stage name. These are the important points. During interview also people will ask, are for whoever is preparing for the Snowflake certification, there also they will ask. They'll just give these snap symbols and they will ask, what is the significance of this particular symbol? If during interviews also people ask, if I want to see the table stages, how I can see? List at the rate, percentile, and table name, so that the table stage will be populated. User stage, list at the rate, tilde, either username, or you can give the particular stage name. Particular the table name, automatically it will provide the user stages.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, in field delimiter we can use comma also, no?
Yes, yes. We can use anything, whatever you want. There are particular special characters it won't allow, I think one or two, but the remaining everything you can use it.
Okay, sir.
So that's all you need to experiment with as part of our hands-on session. Then you'll get to know. So if you are sitting here and if you are doing for all the parameters, one example, it's not going to be helpful, right? We need to explore your own those kind of things by practically. Okay, now I have placed that file into my stage, and I can see that file is present. Here I'm using pipe because my data, this is my feed file, this is my data. So I just segregated with the vertical bar. That's why I'm using as a delimiter as a vertical bar here. So now this is the kind of a pretty much straightforward copy command we already seen, right? So now if I'm executing this particular copy command, so if that particular file having a multiple number of records, if everything is good, it will directly load into this particular table. So now let me execute this particular copy command. So it is showing as a loaded. How many rows loaded? It will show. You can select the table and you can see. So everything is good. It is directly loaded. So now I'm going to place one more file into this particular stage and see the put command. I'm using an additional parameter here. I have introduced this. This is something, for example, if I'm going to execute the same command, what will happen? It will say skip because this file already uploaded. It will check this file is already present or not. If it is already present, it will simply skip that. But if you want to execute that, if you set up a true, overwrite true, which means it will automatically upload again there. So these all will be helpful when you are doing a testing and all in your project. Like if the file is already placed and you want to same file you want to place it again, system it won't allow by default. So you should know about these tricks. So now I'm going to place one more file. So now I have placed one more file. Now we see customer 0, customer 1, I have placed it. But anyways, customer 0 already loaded the data. Now customer 1 I have loaded. So now I am going to execute the copy command again. What it is saying? Numeric value Sam is not recognized. See now this is like pretty much only 10 records. What if I have kind of a millions of records there in that file? I just executed this copy command. After half an hour, it's saying that file, that particular file having some issue and it's not executing, right? I was waiting till last half an hour. I assumed it's going to be completed, but after half an hour, it is showing as an error. So these all are kind of a challenging in a real-time projects. So that's where the Snowflake is giving a features along with this copy command. You can utilize those features and you can avoid this time delay issues and all. So one of the important thing whenever we are running the copy command in real time, always we will see kind of a will try to run this validation mode and see if there are any data mismatches are there or not. So if you are running this particular validation mode, so system it will show copy into customers and from this particular stage location and validation mode. If you are running this, it will show which record is having, which line number is having error and what is the error, what is the column, all the details it will show. Row number, rejected record. This is the rejected record. So now if you go to the feed file, it is saying line number 10 and column customer ID having a Sam not recognized because this is a number column. I'm trying to insert into the varchar value into this particular column. So that's where the system is throwing in an error. So like when working in real-time projects, whenever the people they send a sample feed files, so we have a kind of a different environments will be available, right? Non-prod and production. So it's not something directly if they're sending a feed file and we cannot load directly into the table. So first we will interact with the source team and we will understand the feed file name and feed file structure, how many columns they're going to send, what would be the data value, all the details, and we'll start the development work in a non-prod environment. So in non-prod environment, basically they will provide access to you how I'm doing here all objects creations, whatever I want I can do in that particular non-prod account. So we will ask them to send a sample files, initial testing. So they will send the sample files. So you can run this validation mode and you can test it, whatever the feed file they have sent, that is aligned with our table structure or not. Align with our table structure or not, in the sense. So see now here, customer ID, name, email, city, state, date of birth. These are the 6 columns. Okay. When I discussed with them, they have mentioned they are going to send these 6 columns. Okay. But later, suddenly they have included one more additional column. Something, mobile number. Now, this I am not aware of actually. They just simply included as part of the feed file and they send the feed file. But as per the discussion, they have mentioned we are going to receive only these particular 6 columns. So now I have created already my table with the 6 columns and I am running this particular copy command and it is failing every time, saying columns, number of columns are mismatched, right? So in order to avoid all these kind of errors, in order to avoid all kind of identify the mismatches upfront, the copy command is coming with the parameter called as a validation mode. If you run this particular validation mode, it will show all the details. Which column it is throwing error, what is the number of row it is throwing an error, what is the rejected record. Everything will be available when you run this in a validation mode. Is it clear? Anybody has any queries? Is it clear or not?
Yes.
What about others? So during interviews, people will ask kind of a scenario oriented questions. So like how you can identify what are the mismatches are available inside that feed file, or how you can process the, if there is a kind of a, just to take an example, my table having a only 5 columns, but the feed file having a 6 columns, how you are going to load the data. So these all are kind of a possible scenario questions. I'm repeating once again. I don't have any handbook for the all these interview questions and all. In last minute, don't come and say like I want that interview questions list of a handbook and all. So every day in the session, I'm giving all the scenario oriented questions and all the interview possible questions. I have seen earlier, people will like always look it for ready made. I'm wantedly not giving any interview questions by hand because people will won't look at the recording sessions. So that's why I'm starting onwards. I'm saying all the interview questions will be given as part of the daily basis recording sessions. Please go through the recording sessions and note down all your interview questions. Those are the your interview questions for your real time interview. So don't come end of the session and asking me, can you please provide the list of the interview questions and all. I don't have anything in my hand. So please go through all the recordings and note down the all the interview questions and real time scenario oriented questions as well. So if you go any interview, they won't go beyond those questions. I'm sure I can give a guarantee minimum 60 to 70% questions will come during those discussions only. So please go through the recordings, note down all the questions, whatever I'm saying. That will be helpful for your interview. Where whenever I am taking that interview, for that during that interview also, I am going to ask the same questions. So this much effort is needed from your side if you are learning something. So there is no kind of a automated or ready-made way to you can directly go and you can get the job and you can landing into that particular project. No, it's not at all possible. Even though if you go some other way and if you somehow you got the job also, you cannot sustain the project. You'll come out of between minimum within 2 to 3 months. I can damn sure I can say. I have seen many people like that. So without having a proper knowledge, even though you got your job in a different way, you cannot sustain. So please focus, please spend some time on the recording. Once the class is over, please go through the recording and prepare your notes. at least for the key points and interview questions. That will be enough for your interview. So please focus on that. I'm repeating once again. I don't have any handbook to give any interview questions. Please focus on the recording sessions and please note down your interview questions. Okay, so now this is the one of the parameter, key parameter will be coming as part of the copy command, and whenever we are running this copy command, we will run this copy command in validation mode, and this validation mode, it will give you overview about the what are the mismatch records are there and how you are going to tackle those mismatches. We will see in a couple of minutes. So far is clear, or anybody has any queries? Is it clear or not?
Yes, sir.
What about others? Please acknowledge it. I mean, you are able to follow or you are not able to understand. If you are not able to understand, please let me know. I'll repeat once again. But if you are silently sitting, I can't help on that. Okay. So now,
With the help of this validation mode,
yeah.
we can copy the table and
No, the data is not copying here. It is just throwing the error. What is the mismatches record? It just to show I'm specifying written all errors,
okay, sir.
right?
Hmm.
So I want to see what are the possible errors will come if I'm going to execute this copy command, and what are the mismatches are there with respect to the feed file. I want to list out those first. So that is where we are using this validation mode. Whenever you are executing this validation mode, no data will be loaded into that particular table. It will just throw the mismatches. If there are no mismatches, it won't throw anything. It will just simply throw no row selected.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for example, if I'm directly executing this, it will fail, right? So there is kind of a mismatch is there, right? So same thing. So instead of executing this copy command and waiting half an hour or 40 minutes, then getting this error upfront itself, I can identify the what are the mismatches records are there. Then I can correct those records, or I can inform to the source team, hey, this mismatches are there, please can you please correct it. They'll correct it and they'll send the new feed file. Then you can go ahead and you can run the copy command. Okay, this is the one important feature as part of the, or one important parameter as part of the copy command. Now coming to the second parameter is on error equal continue. On error equal continue. See now, take a scenario. For example, I have 1,000 records in my feed file. Okay, so somewhere around 910th record having some problem. So now example, take here itself, I have total 10 records are there. So out of 10 records, only one record, only one particular record causing the problem. Okay, so now if I want to skip that particular error record and I want to proceed further, so now I have 1,000 records, 900 or 901 causing some issue. So if I'm executing that copy command, see here I have executed the copy command, right? So what happened, even though that error is present in the last record, it got failed and nothing got loaded into that particular table. Nothing happened, right? But if I want to skip that particular error record and I want to proceed for other loading, so for example, out of these 1,000, so there is a 901 or 801 having some problem. Okay, so because of that particular record, if I don't want to stop my loading, so I just want to proceed further, I want to just skip that error record, I'll proceed further, I load the remaining records into the particular table. So out of 1,000, only one record are causing issue, so let's skip that particular record, load the remaining 999 into my table. Then later I will correct that particular record and I'll reload that particular record into my table, because in real time we have a millions of records, right? So because of particular one record, I don't want to stop this millions data loading into the table. So if I want to tackle this kind of a situation, so the Snowflake copy command is providing another important parameter called as a on error equal continue. On error equal continue. So now if you see, If you run this particular command, what is saying? First line error. Let me rerun it. Copy executed with 0 files processed. So let me recreate this particular table. Then we will, because those files are already processed it, right? So now let me put this particular file. So now if you see that this is the file is there. So I'm going to run this particular copy command. See what it will say? Partially loaded. If it is successfully completely loaded, it will show as a data loaded. The status should show as a loaded. But here it is saying as a partially loaded. So how many rows are there? Total 9. But how many rows are loaded? Total 8 rows got loaded. So one particular record, this is the error, and this is the particular column. So if you go to that particular table, you can see out of 9 records, only 8 records got loaded. That ninth record it got skipped out. So that is the use of on error equal continue. So basically it will skip the error record and it will proceed the ingestion into the Snowflake table. Is it clear or anybody has any doubt till here?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay. So for now I'm going to re-execute this particular copy command. What will happen? It will say copy executed with the 0 files processed, because if once the file is loaded into the particular Snowflake table, so there is a kind of a dictionary for the Snowflake called copy or load history or copy history. So from that copy history it will check if that particular file is present or not. If the file is present, it will just skip that file. See, this particular file is loaded, right? This is the status. Yes, status, either it is loaded or partially loaded, it won't process it again. From here also you can see for that particular file how many errors got loaded, what is the file size, how many errors are occurred, how many records are successfully loaded, everything will get it. So this is another important thing. So during your ingestion, if you want to see what's happening, how many files are successfully loaded and all, you can get it from this particular copy history. And this copy history, load history, all these data dictionaries will be available in Snowflake documentation. Whenever you want, you can get it that and you can execute that command and you'll get to know. So you don't need to worry about this. Okay, so now here if I want to reload the data from the same file, then you can use the command as a force equal true. If you are executing this,